Hello, how are we doing this very fine Monday? It's me, Heidi, on this channel, my channel, Heidi's Corner, on this episode of Monday News. Welcome. In the studio with me are, of course, as per usual, Stefan. Hey. Oops. Excuse me. I have to move around. And we have Bertil. Hello. Uh, uh, Bertil's friend Morran, who has actually um, been seen on this channel, just came from a holiday, and perhaps I will share pictures with you on my Sunday special episode coming up, because um, soon I'll have my summer holiday from work, my actual day job, and we will be going on a family trip. My partner Katja, who you've seen on my channel, to take Bertil and Morran with us, and I will perhaps share pictures of them. Anyway, and today's drink is again dark leffe. So, okay, our topic tonight for this Monday news, this episode of. By the way, if there have been, if there are any issues with audio, uh, pic, pixelation of image, anything, just let me know in the chat. So, okay, let's take. Up. So, Laurel Hubbard, first transgender athlete to compete in the Olympic Games. Well, who is Laurel Hubbard? Born 9th of February in 1978. A Kiwi transgender weightlifter, and who was selected to compete representing New Zealand in 2020 Summer Olympics, which were obviously due to be held in 2020 in Tokyo, Japan, but they were obviously postponed due to the pandemic. And she has ranked 7th on the International Women's Federation's I'm not sure what, it's a league for weightlifting, but on IWF's women's 87 plus kilogram division. She's on 7th. World Championships silver in 2017 Anaheim on plus 90 kilos, and that would be, and then on Pacific Games 2019 gold in 87 plus kilos category. Anyway, that. So, this is from BBC.com from 7 days ago. That would have been, well, early last week anyway. So, critics, that here it says that critics say Hubbard has an unfair advantage, but others have argued for more inclusion at the games. If I may, there has been International Olympic Committee strategy or guidelines since 2004 regarding this particular issue. that is transgender people in Olympic sports. Um, there we have, and this before we go into that, um, I've been when I've had the topic of trans people, transgender people in sports, there have been these horrible pieces of legislation in particular in the United States of America, where they are excluding trans girls and trans women from school, from competing in school and college, high school and college sports. Why is this important? There are stricter rules, even by even imposed by the International Olympic Committee to trans women than trans men. And I would assume I should mention that there are, regardless, there are certain limits of even for the series, even in the series for men, especially in the Olympics. The big international companies, corporations with athletics, competitive sports, they have limits on the levels of testosterone. There are in track sports. There's this, I can't remember. For the love of me, I can't remember this lady's name, who turned out to be intersex, at least to some extent. There's a South African athlete. You'll probably remind me of the chat who her name was, but she had horrible testing done to establish whether or not she was woman enough for sports. Anyway, that included the level of the tests for the total testing the total testosterone in serum. That's something that becomes important in this discussion. The total testosterone in serum, from which in medical field it's typically Mogadi Custer Semenya OIB. Yes, that's her. Thank you, Kiri. Anyway, that's those are the values, total testosterone in serum, that I will be referring to, because that's what those limits are expressed in. That would be and the units would typically be nanomoles per liter. Yes. So let's go to the hang on. I need to fix something on the chat, for the chat box. It'll take me just a tiny bit. Okay, there we go. I just because the white font was something that I wasn't happy with, so I fixed it. Anyway, going forward to the article, BBC article. So Uh, New Zealand's Laurel Hubbard has become the first ever transgender athlete to be picked to be athlete picked to compete an at an Olympics in a controversial decision. Officials have selected her for the women's weightlifting team for Tokyo 2020 after qualifying requirements recently were recently modified. That would have been the amount of competition. As I understand it, that would have been the total amount of competitions attended. That's what I understood. Anyway, she had competed in men's events before coming out as transgender in 2013. Critics say Hubbard has an unfair advantage, but others have argued for more inclusion at the games. I am grateful, and Hubbard went on to say as follows, and I quote, I am grateful and humbled by the kindness and support that has been given to me by so many New Zealanders in the statements published by the New Zealand National Olympic Committee. And she will compete in women's 87 kilo weightlifting category. Yes, as I said previously, she was in the 90 kilo category. Still a few years back. So the 43-year-old that would be Laurel became eligible to compete at the Olympics when the International Olympic Committee in 2015 changed its rules allowing transgender athletes to compete as a woman if their testosterone levels are below a certain threshold. That limit I will go to later in this episode of Monday News, because that is the big hot potato here. The testosterone is a hormone that increases muscle mass. Yes, that is correct, but that is not the entire story. Those of you who have actually paid attention in your biology classes in elementary school and actually received a passing grade know that testosterone is an androgen, a male hormone. It's something that is a dominant hormone in the male or binary male human's body, and that is what primarily causes the male puberty and the male primary features in a boy's or a man's body, and that's what becomes important here is testosterone and how much said person has in his or her there. Okay, we have Kerry Mack in October 2019. World Athletics changed the testosterone limit for transgender competitors, setting it at 5 nanomoles from the previous 10 nanomoles in order to bring it in line with DSD or intersex regulations, and that what I was referring to with Mogadi Semenya's case, because that it ended up she apparently, if I remember correctly, I could be mistaken, but I think she turned out to be intersex. But that is she. I think she was disqualified, wasn't she? Or then put on some testosterone blockers because that in her field of expertise is also important. The muscle is also muscle mass is important. Yes. Anyway, controversial choice. While athletes' testosterone levels are below that threshold, critics say she critics say her participation in the Olympic Games still unfair for female-born athletes. That is factually incorrect. Many women, assigned female at birth, who live as a female, who identify as female, can have really high testosterone levels and still be passed as a woman. Excuse me, I had to fix my hat there. So, moving on. While they have pointed out to the biological advantages of those who have gone through puberty as males, such as increased bone and muscle density. That is a bad argument. I will go into that a bit later, because that is just only the half truth. Okay, last month, Belgian weightlifter Anna van Bellingen, who is competing in the same category, said that if Hubbard were to compete in Tokyo, it would be unfair for women and I quote, bad, like a bad joke. Going on, she said that while she fully supported the transgender community, after saying that she does not, saying what she just said makes her next claim invalid. She does not. Okay. She goes on to say that while she fully supports the transgender community, the principle of inclusion should not be at the expense of others. That is, come on, lady. She went on. Van Bellingen went on to say, anyone that has trained weightlifting at a high level knows this to be true in their bones. This particular situation is unfair to the sports and to the athletes, she said in May. Life-changing opportunities are missed for some athletes, medals and Olympic qualifications, and we are powerless. Not exactly. Potato, hey? Save Women's Sport Australia. Yes, I was surprised that such organization actually does exist. Anyway, it's they, as I understand it, what I gather, they carry same kind of values, than turfs, like oh yes, of course, I'm sorry, I will post them in the chat. Okay, this is the BBC article, there you go. Then there is the inside the games dot biz. I will refer to this is regarding the International Olympic Committee um, uh, guidelines. This is an actual article going there. Okay, and the International Olympic Committee IOC consensus meeting on sex reassignment and hyperandrogenism, November 2015. This is, if I remember correctly, this is already in the description box. In the YouTube description box, that is. Okay, that is there. Now, where were we? Okay. It is flawed. The group went on to say it is flawed policy from the IOC that has allowed the selection of a 43-year-old biological male that is factually incorrect, who identifies as a woman to compete in the female category, the group said in a statement ahead of Monday's decision. And there she is. Quite pretty, I think. From Reuters. That picture is from Reuters. But New Zealand's government and the country's top sporting body have backed her inclusion for the upcoming Olympics, as well as being among the world's best for her event. Laurel has met the IWF eligibility criteria, including those based on IOC consensus statement guidelines for transgender athletes, said the chief of New Zealand Olympic Committee Chief Executive Karen Smith, adding, "We acknowledge that gender identity in sports is a highly sensitive and complex issue requiring balance between human rights and fairness on the field of play. As the New Zealand team, we have a strong culture of manaki, respect in Maori, I would assume, and inclusion and respect for all." Now, then the head of Olympic weightlifting, New Zealand, Richard Patterson, said that Hubbard has shown grit and perseverance to recover from a career-threatening injury in 2018. She actually her left elbow, she ruptured a tendon. Actually, don't go watching it. Watch the videos; it's quite horrendous. Anyway, that could have ended her career, but it didn't. She recovered. I will go now to here yes. As I said, the proponents of banning transgender athletes from all competitive sports. Yeah, Global Chris, too late. Already seen it. Okay, but those who haven't, if anyone hasn't watched them, please do not go. It's horrendous. Anyway, I've talked about the idiots who try to woo pedal transgender people out of competitive sports. Oh, Kiri, you didn't go watch it. Come on, girl. These people are essentially what these people are saying is, we don't want trans women and girls into sports. We don't care about boys. We don't want the girls in. Who knows what happens, you know? Good go. boom boom with the cis girls. Who knows? Anyway, but they never talk about trans men or trans masculines, and that for that they could piss off. Okay, so in the spirits, referring to the 2004 original one, in this spirit, the IOC consensus meeting agreed on the following guidelines to be taken into account by sports organizations when determining eligibility to compete in male and female competitions. Okay. Number one, those who transition from female to male are eligible to compete in male category without restriction. There we go. Yeah, that kind of gets a point through on those dicks actually not caring about trans men. Okay. Point 2. Those who transition from male to female are eligible to compete in the female category under following conditions. 2.1. The athlete has declared that her gender identity is female. The declaration cannot be changed for sporting purposes for a minimum of 4 years. There you go. It's those who claim, some, if not most, they think these trans women just say, okay, I'm a woman, I'm going to compete in the women's series. That is not what happens. That is not what happens. So not at all. It has to be 4 years. Okay? That excuse me. I am incapable of being a okay. Anyway, 2.2. The athlete must demonstrate that her total testosterone. Oh, Kiri. By the way, it's the world athletics. World athletics is not the same as the International Olympic Committee. That's not the same. Two different organizations. So, World Athletics is an internet. The interwebs tells me that World Athletics is the international governing body for the sports of athletics, covering track and field, cross-country running, road running, race walking, mountain running, and ultra running. Included in its chart, so it's not all. It's just those sport. It's just track sport, well, athletics, sports, track sports. So, Audrey is no. This is the declaration of gender identity, 4 years, and the point 2.2. The athlete must demonstrate that her total testosterone level in serum has been below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months prior to her first competition, with the requirement for any longer period to be based on a confidential case-by-case evaluation, considering whether or not 12 months is sufficient length of time to minimize any advantage in women's competition. Yeah, these people who argue that they have too much testosterone, etc., They haven't checked the rules. They do not know what the International Olympic Committee is writing, what they are basing their decisions on. They're just willingly ignorant. So there's those who want, those turfs, etc., who want to complain and bitch out to the Olympic Committee, the international version. Here are the contact details: Chateau du Vidi, 1007, Lausanne, Switzerland. And here's the phone number: +4121 Call them if you are upset. Thank you. Point 2.3. The athlete's total testosterone level in serum must remain below 10 nanomoles per liter throughout the period of desired eligibility to compete in the female category. Point 2.4. Compliance with these conditions may be monitored by testing. In the event of non-compliance, the athlete's eligibility for female competition will be suspended for 12 months. Yeah, these are strict regulations. Laurel Hubbard is under constant supervision and subject to testing at any given time. She can have her eligibility to compete in the Olympic Games withdrawn, even if it's even 10 nanomoles per liter her testosterone. And this would imply that because here it says, point 1, those who transition from female to male are eligible to compete in male category without restriction. Their hormone levels are not being monitored. All they're worried about is the female or the trans feminine athletes' testosterone levels, but not. They are subject to being tested whether they take enough testosterone blockers, and or have they been subject to some, shall we say, surgery, orchiectomy, gender reassignment surgery, etc. But it's this is in compliance with the in compliance with the, when it comes to intersex athletes. This is still discriminate. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful, that Laurel is being able to in the women's category in the Olympic Games and the World Champions and the Asia Olympics. And there, by the way, Kiri, there is actually I'll provide the article in the chat as well. Can't remember where I lost it somewhere, but I had a study for a certain, or a link to a certain study. I'll have to do it the long way, pick it up from the excuse me, This is what happens when you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so there was because I linked an article in the description box to yes, there we go. There we have it. Okay. How does hormone transition in transgender women change body composition, muscle strength, and hemoglobin? The it's one this link. It's in the description box in YouTube. Um, it's from British Journal of Sports Medicine. Um, se- Searching from 4 databases uh, for papers between 1999 and 2020, 24 studies were reviewed. And results: trans women experienced significant decreases in all parameters measured. This would have been body mass or lean body mass, muscular area, muscular strength, and hemoglobin slash hematocrits. After 4 months of hormone therapy, trans women's hemoglobin slash hematocrit levels have trans women have levels equivalent to those cisgender women after 4 months. After 12 months of hormone therapy, significant decreases in measures of strength, LBM or lean body mass, and muscle area are observed. The effects of longer duration therapy, 36 months, in eliciting further decrements in these measures are unclear due to paucity of data. Notwithstanding values of for strength, LBM, and muscle area remain above cis women, but they are in many areas on the same level as cis women. So it's not that straightforward in many areas of body functions. One important thing in sports is also hemoglobin, and it gets down. Yeah, all right. And for example, I'm transgender. My after a few months, I was monitored carefully, and my hemoglobin went down drastically after starting the hormones. So it's my hemoglobin used to be close to 160, and after 6 or 8 months, my hemoglobin was around 130, and it was attributed to the hormones. My testosterone levels have been for years. For example, I think it was after 10 months or 11 months, after starting hormones in 2013, early 2013, and from the end of that year up until now, my testosterone levels have been well below, around half. Last time it was measured, my testosterone was half of what a cis woman would, a normal average cis woman, postmenopausal cis woman would have. So there you go. If a trans woman gets on her testosterone blockers, yeah, they do get on the level of cis women and below. I've had a chat with a number of of people who have taken those anti-androgens, their hormone, their testosterone gets really low. So yeah, it's not because if I wouldn't, and my muscle strength has gone down, it's not, and I'm sure Laurel's has too. It has to be. Okay. Okay, so I'll go to the other article from Inside Games. It's about the Michael Pavitt reporting from Olympic House in Lausanne, Switzerland. It's This is just pretty much about the reiteration of the 2004 original statement, which was almost the same. They just updated certain medical parameters in the requirements. It's a consensus. The IOC Executive Board received today. Received a report today on the consultation process regarding athletes' inclusion on the basis of sex characteristics and gender identity. The consultation is aimed at developing a framework and guidelines for athletes and international federations, which would be based upon data, research, and the latest information in scientific and human rights sector. A consensus statement published in 2015, that would be 6 years ago, and 5 years at the time of writing this article. This statement approved the eligibility of those who transition from male to female in the female category under a series of conditions, which we just went through. The athlete would have to have declared that the gender identity is female, with the declaration unable to be changed for a minimum of 4 years. Again, I must reiterate to those jerks who think and claim and woo peddle that this would mean that just any person off the street, I've heard someone claim that any cis man could just claim that they're a woman and then go on to, like that, off the street to compete in the female category. That's not how it goes in anywhere. It's not, it doesn't go like that. No. All athletes would also be required to demonstrate that their total testosterone level in serum has been below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months prior to their first competition. That is the pre-qualifying competitions, with a requirement for any longer period to be based on a confidential case-by-case evaluation. This is just basically copy-paste from the IOC statement. This is just reiterating the IOC statement here. Oh, Apostle Babe Linda James, hello. how much you be doing. Anyway, if and Kiri, if the information is easily available from a simple Google search stating someone can just decide one day and compete the next, is willful ignorance. Yes, I mean, I yes, Kiri, I had um yeah, I had the I saw this link. I cannot remember for the love of me. I cannot remember where I saw this original um link the other day. But I then when I read this article, I was yes, this is an amazing thing to cover on my Monday news, and all this information that I've provided to you this evening, this 45 minutes or so, it was easy to find. I mean, just Google it. All right. If there's those watching who are unsure or still think like decide one day and compete the next, if there are those people watching or people who think this way, please show this one to them, or if they refused to watch some Finnish trans girl, or maybe tranny, what they call me, just provide them the links and tell them Google further, because as Kiri said, it's really easy. It it takes just it takes it doesn't take long. Just spend 2-3 minutes googling, and 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 this what I'm bringing you is my 2 cents or 2 pennies on the subject, and bringing this to you, my viewers, and the lovely people who actually showed up, because on Friday I had zero watching live the video about Tom of Finland, or Touko Laaksonen. Uh, if there are people watching, I know uh, only about 30 something percent of my viewers are subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so now, or at least when I finish up, please do so. And those who are subscribed and watching, please thumbs up, thumbs down, and those who are not subscribed and don't wanna, thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't care. The algorithm likes it the either way. Yes, this is just basically reiterating this article. Is this inside the games is in the start. It's reiterating the decision made by the IOC in Lausanne. Okay, so let's go. So going forward. Okay. Overall, and I quote, overall, the discussion so far have confirmed considerable tension between the notions of fairness and inclusion, and the desire and need to protect women's category, the IOC Executive Board said. Yeah, it's always, yeah. Why isn't it ever protect the men? Protect the men from themselves. Okay, opinions are very diverse and difficult to reconcile, and perceptions differ strongly. The new IOC guidelines will have to balance all of these. A change of existing guidelines, the 2015 consensus statement at this stage, would mean a change of rules during ongoing competition with qualifications for Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games already underway. Such change, therefore, would be neither ethically nor legally admissible. Furthermore, it was always clear that the IOC could not change the existing guidelines while the consultation is ongoing. Weightlifter Laurel Hubbard is the most high-profile transgender athlete seeking to compete in Tokyo 2020. The New Zealander's hopes of qualifying for the Olympic Games rest on her performance in the Oceania Championships in Nauru next month. Actually, Nauru in Finnish, Nauru means laughter, so it's quite silly. Um, International federations or IFs have begun to introduce their own regulations in recent months, and that's the World Rugby folks. So there we have it. Okay, World Athletics, which is the track sports, etc., which hosted a meeting in Lausanne to discuss the topic in November. That would be, I think, 2019 November. Said IF officials were in agreement with eligibility rules passed by the worldwide body. Under the World Athletics, the concentration of testosterone in an athlete must be less than 5 nanomoles, which Kiri actually pointed out a while ago in the chat. That is, they made a strict. They decided to go to tighten up the limits. Okay. We have a comment from Linda James. May I ask, when trans goes from male to female, does the hormone therapy make difference of putting these females on equal footage with the females they compete with in sports? This is my first chance to ask. As it has been stated earlier by yours truly, and I refer to a study which is from British Journal of Sports Medicine. It's in the description box below. The fact is that the muscle mass, hemoglobin, muscle, density, mass, strength, hemoglobin, which is very important in, especially in track sports and endurance sports, etc. The testosterone blockers plus estrogen will cause reduction in muscle mass, etc., which putting them, trans women, eventually on pretty much the same level of than those born or assigned female at birth, cisgender women. So eventually it's more or less on the same line, so that they are within the same scope of opportunities with just normal practice methods. I hope that answered your question, Linda. But hey, if you have any, if if you lovely people have questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. So, and Linda, I hope this answered your question. And I can tell you, my muscle mass and strength has decreased significantly, and all those trans feminines of whose texts I've read, who I've talked with in these years being in the trans community, it's the same story. Muscle mass goes down, hemoglobin goes down, etc., etc. So there's no point in trying to argue that it wouldn't be, or that trans women would have some type of advantage when it comes to physical strength. Of course, you know what your mentality has a lot to do in sports, but you all know that. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so the International Paralympic Committee, International Tennis Federation, World Rowing, and the International Golf Federation were among the international the IFs to attend the meeting. The International Cycling Union introduced similar guidelines to World Athletics, which came into force on Sunday, March 1st, 2020. World Rugby has also held a workshop to develop an equitable, safe, and evidence-based rugby-specific policy for transgender participation. Oh, out of beer. Okay. Okay, Linda, Apostle Linda James goes on to say, "Oh, okay, this makes sense as far as strength aspect that everyone has simply lost their minds over. Yeah, people lose their minds over all kinds of things, I guess. They just can't see the past. What can't see the past what they are familiar with when thinking of a man. Exactly. So, yeah, it's not always not always so simple, is it? It's, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I cannot just let me understand how this damn chat box works. Okay, because as you can see, it was cutting out part of the chat. Anyway, that should be okay. I don't, but okay, spamming the chat so we can see what it look, if it's okay now. Okay, so independent experts from areas of performance science, medicine, risk, law, and socioethics were invited to share their expertise, opinions, and research at the 2-day workshop for this would be World Rugby Federation. I take it. With with representatives from organizations such as International Gay Rugby, Rugby Football Union, and Fair Play for Women also in attendance. Yeah, so many people so many people and experts and consultants needed to uh, state the obvious. So attendees agreed on the main issues surrounding the physiological basis of performance differences between men and women, as well as confirming that further consultation and research was required, particularly in the areas of specific injury, ethical considerations, and performance. World Rugby was also committed to explore further research to inform future guideline revision. And the IOC has expressed their support for IF's tailored rules for the individual sports. Yeah, there we go. It's in all in all, I think this is a really, really fascinating uh concept anyway, or shall I say topic. I could go on and on and on about this. I was involved. I did judo for a very long time, many years, but I had to quit due to injuries. I had to stop permanently. I can't do it anymore due to a number of injuries. This was before I transitioned, or I had to quit at around the time I started transitioning, but those two weren't connected. I had so many injuries, but I would, however, like to point out that at this time, as I actually, this was before I came out, or at least publicly, I asked some a sensei, the chief sensei there, that what is the what are the guidelines for trans people to compete in judo? He said something along the lines of 2 years after the sex reassignment surgery. But as we've seen here, it's this is from 2015. I think the original 2004 guideline decision had to do with mentioned the sex reassignment surgery, and I think the consensus meeting paper also mentioned the requirement for sex reassignment surgery or genital surgery, if you like, to be required. It was in the original one, so that's why I think the chief sensei told me that. Okay, I think I have it here. The okay. Oh yeah, on the screen there. Okay. Okay, these yes, transgender guidelines. This is from the yes O3 Stockholm consensus. This has here the require surgical anatomical changes as precondition to participation is not necessary to preserve fair competition and may be inconsistent with developing legislation and notions in human rights. Yes, I take it as as such this as there being the requirement of the when I was reading up on this on prior to this, I went through the I actually read the original 03/04 statements, which was quite a read. I highly suggest you dig it up. It's okay. I'll dig it up for you. I'll be right back. Okay, there we have it. Yes, this is from on October the executive. This is dated May 18th of May 2004. The executive board of the International Olympic Committee today approved the consensus proposed by the Medical Commission for the Olympiad for Athens. Here are the members, some Swedish and American doctors, one French. Okay. The group recommends that individuals undergoing sex reassignment from male to female after puberty and vice versa are eligible for participation in female or male competitions. Hang on. This should then be allowed to go to compete in the opposite binary sex category, and going both ways. And here, the group recommends that individuals undergoing sex reassignment surgery from male to female after puberty under following conditions. Surgical anatomical changes have been completed, including external external genitalia changes and gonadectomy. Yes, so the original, yes, I remember correctly. The original statement or the agreements, the consensus had the requirements of sexual reassignment surgery. And legal recognition has been conferred by appropriate authorities, which is kind of unfair because in many countries transitioning is still illegal or illegal. You could be sent to jail, be executed, or be made or disappear, be made to disappear forever. Her hormonal therapy appropriated for the assigned sex has been administered in verifiable manner and for a sufficient length of time to minimize gender related advantages in sports competitions. Yes, this is what the chief sensei was talking about. In the opinion of the group, eligibility should begin no sooner than 2 years after gonadectomy. Yes, so 15 years ago, Laurel Hubbard would have had to wait. Would have had to go. All trans women would have had to wait. 2 years. This is really unspecific. This is really, really unspecific because it's no sooner than 2 years. Uh, hor- Hormonal therapy appropriate for assigned sex has been administered in a verifiable manner and for a sufficient length of time. This is again what I this is in reference to what I mentioned previously, that the uh, Linda I what I mentioned about being the muscle strength, etc., being get it weakening, etc. Okay, I think. Did you please, my lovelings in the chat, do you have any questions you might want to ask me? Because I think I've been babbling on for well over an hour now, and it's midnight here, etc. So, do you have any questions, comments um, I'll be you'd like to ask me, comments, etc. And while hopefully, people are um, writing their lovely comments and etc. and so on. I would also like to remind you all about the links or to the description box to begin with. The description box, you'll find the links to the articles that have already been administered in the chat by yours truly and reiterated by lovely Kiri Mac. You can also find the links to my playlists. You'll find the season 1 where I've had wonderful guests, for example, Conspiracy Cats, Susan Brewer, Bob the Science Guy, Borg Skeptic, Arthur Weber, etc., many others. I can reveal that there will, as I mentioned, those of you who have actually watched the History with Heidi episode this past Friday, I revealed that on September 26th, on the first anniversary of my very first live stream, I will have a very, very, very special guest. I will not reveal who, but I will have a first anniversary special first anniversary live stream on September 26th of this year. So put that up to your calendars or almanacs or whatever you call it. Okay, so the season 1, Conspiracy Cat, Susan Brewer, Arthur Weber, Susan Brewer, Bob the Science Guy, my mom, for example, and then there's the season 2, which is now there's Monday News. Then that is one playlist. Then you'll find the special files, special episodes with special people. There's my mom, that again Borg Skeptic, also known as previously known as Trans Atheist. Then you'll find those in that list. You'll find Friday Facts, which I think there are 8 episodes in total in that brief that those 8 episodes every Friday. And now I have History with Haiti, which has proven to be quite a bit uh, more successful than the quota effects. But I'm really disappointed that the episode about Alan Turing is underperforming. It has only eight, I think only 8 views at the moment, and it's one of my least performing poorest performing videos so far in this entire channel. Anyway, and then you'll find the list for History with Haig, and you'll also find a link to a Sunday specials episode, in which I had my partner girlfriend Katya up on the channel, and we were trying out some Japanese snacks which we had from Japan. Okay, now comments from Linda. So in the article named Caitlyn Jenner, if you're a biological boy, you shouldn't be in girl sports. There is a paragraph confirming your show today. Peter, not all, any guests here tonight? Any guests before that? Not. I don't have anyone agreed on yet. I don't have anyone agreed or anyone set up for guests yet. I haven't been able to. I haven't been able to get anyone so far. That's why I haven't had guests for so many months. Because yeah. Anyway, Linda, once trans girls start getting hormone therapy, their performances tend to level out across different sports, and by and large, all things end up being roughly equal. It also appears most athletic orgs require trans athletes to be on hormone therapy. Yeah. I think there's something. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, it tends up to be, yeah, but the fact that it's required for trans athletes, the hormone therapies, the point being that the performance level of each athlete's body would equal out. That's the point of requiring the hormone treatment. Yes. Okay. Now. Okay, and yes, before I went to the comments, there is links. There are links also to my 2 Discord servers. There are links for my channel server, Hades Corner or Heidi's Corner. And then there is the LGBT plus safe space, which the name is quite self-descriptive. It's meant to be a safe space server on the on Discord platform, and I have wonderful admins and moderators on both of my servers. Okay, Linda saying she's running for governor here as a conservative. Caitlyn Jenner, yes, she is running. I won't. Okay, I will refrain from commenting on that on that particular of her running for governor and her views on a number of topics. I will refrain from commenting on Caitlyn Jenner. That is a complete. That is a subject will not. I refuse to touch on my channel. There are only a few subjects that I refuse to touch on my channel, and she's one of them. Okay, I think it's time for me to go. I'm tired. It's late, and yes, please, as I said previously, please like. Okay, Linda says, then so will I. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I will. It's time for me to go. And it's time for my babies to go to bed. It's late for Stefan, and it's late. Bed. It's very late for Bertil. Okay, time for us to go to bed. Excuse me. So, and please, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, and tickle the notification bell, ding ding, so you'll get every ding ding whenever I post a live stream or other videos. Ding ding. Before I go, goodbye, and ding the bell.